Good morning, everybody. It is Man Coverage. This is Knoxville Nate and James Bonneville. It is October 15, week number 7, college football. Oh, my God. We had some crazy ball games yesterday. There is a reason that we love college football. We say it every week. NFL football is cool. If you're sitting at a bar and you have nothing else to do or talk about and you want to watch people play football, NFL football is great. But if you want to really experience emotional highs and lows and see kids who really care about winning, go after the victory, college football is where it's at. James, what were your final thoughts about week number 7 as it was?
Hell, more than just yesterday. Friday freaking night was like that was crazy. Like, honest to God, this is one of the craziest weekends I've seen in some time where, I mean, if you're going to choke somebody out, you got to choke them out. I mean, Colorado and Stanford up 29 and lose. I mean, Wyoming.
No lead is safe anymore.
Wyoming, Houston. Wyoming scores with 20 seconds to go in the game, and Houston comes back and wins it and saves Dana Holgerson's job. And we're not even going to probably talk about that game today.
If we have time, we shall. But I mean, I don't know if we'll even have time.
Hell, this show could go on for 6 hours because yes, this weekend was so crazy.
It could, but it's not going to.
No.
I got a couple things to do today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I'd love to sit here and talk about college football all day, but that would probably not go over well with the backup crew.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. But yeah, we could sit here and talk about freaking Friday night all afternoon. Two pretty good games there. And I got to witness my first college football game live yesterday of the season. So the old man got out of the chair for once and walked down to the stadium and was quickly reminded why I don't do this anymore. Sitting there for 4 hours and standing in line to pee and then hanging out at the trough. These are all reasons why I don't go anymore. Nothing against you guys, but I just don't really want to stand next to you while you urinate.
Yeah.
Can we get rid of the troughs, please?
Let's be honest. The most silent place in any football stadiums is the men's bathroom because nobody talks. Nobody. The unwritten rules of going to a men's bathroom. It is the cone of silence.
Well, you're not allowed to speak when you're at the trough.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how are you going? And it's like, why are you talking to me when my Johnson's out? We're not allowed to speak to each other. That's a man rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was a lot of surprises yesterday, for sure. And we're going to get into the most important games, but I do want to talk about a couple of surprises. Obviously, Friday night was a big time surprise. Stanford winning, I guess, it kind of surprised me. I thought Colorado would win that game for sure. And, they've had a pretty up and down roller coaster season so far, but I just thought they would come out and beat Stanford because Stanford's not very good.
Yeah.
But their quarterback had a hell of a night and played unbelievable. But there were some other games too that just really unexpected victories and, unexpected teams that maybe people are still sleeping on. I've got to say that my biggest sleeper team of all right now has got to be Arizona.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about Arizona before this season. No one even mentioned them. And this is the reason that the Pac-12, thank you, Paul Feinbaum, is the best conference, is because there's teams like Arizona playing in it. Now, they lost to Mississippi State earlier. They lost to Washington. They lost to USC in overtime, I think.
Yeah.
Right? 2 overtimes. And so they have 3 losses, but they've got some pretty decent wins. I mean, they beat a good Washington State team 44-6 yesterday. They beat that same Stanford team that beat Colorado by 1 point. And this Arizona team's doing things that a lot of people did not expect them to. But let's get into the best game of the day and the game that featured 2 top 10 teams. And I believe still are 2 top 10 teams, even after And that's Washington and Oregon. And I feel horrible. We're here in Autzen Stadium today, as everyone can see. And I just spoke with Dan Lanning, and, he put the loss on his back, and he should. I talked to you during the game. I said, you got to kick that field goal, bro. I mean, I know he was being aggressive. I don't really have a problem with people being aggressive, but when you're on the you're inside the 20-yard line, you've got three. It was 4th and 3, but really it was 4th and 4 because it was a long 3. So it's 4th and 4, and you can get points. And I said, he's taking these points. He's leaving 3 points on the table. Watch it. He's going to lose by 3 points. And he did. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Michael Penix. He's unbelievable. Goes back to when we saw him at Indiana that year, the COVID, proclamation where he went out and beat Penn State and Michigan in the same season at Indiana, which no one has ever done. And we knew right then this kid was special, and he still is. But what were your thoughts about, Dan Lanning leaving points on the board and costing his team the game? Because he did. He lost his team the game. His team played well enough to win.
There are 3 4th downs I go back to over and over again. And the first one, let's talk about that right at the end of the half, that 4th and 3. I didn't mind them going for it because, let's be honest, they've been rolling the dice quite a bit all year. I disagree with the play call. I mean, they did a sprint out. And honestly, if you're going to run a sprint out, there is no second option. And the longer that play drug out, you knew it was dead. I mean, Tez Johnson, before he even came out of the break, should have gotten the ball right away. And honestly, looking back, having rewatched the game, I don't think Bo Nix played that great of a game. He was kind of all over the place, and his receivers had to bail him out. I mean, Tony Franklin and Tez Johnson had a hell of a game. But the straw that stirs that drink is their line of scrimmage play. And a name you may have heard us talk about a couple years back and last year and now this year is a guy at Illinois by the name of Bucky freaking Irving. I mean, I said it when this kid was coming out of high school. This kid's got electric hips, probably the best hips I've seen since, Reggie Bush.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good one for Minnesota to hang on to, bro.
Agreed.
He is really, really good and really explosive, and he is the straw that stirs the drink over there. And I thought they should have given him the ball a little bit more, honestly.
Agreed.
22 carries for 127. That's great. But I would have liked to see him carry it 25, maybe 30 times because they weren't stopping him.
Well, not only that, getting, throw him screen passes outside because, Washington was really struggling with him outside the hashes. Yeah. And it just – I look back at a lot of this game, but at the end of the day, Michael Penix is, if he continues on this chart, be prepared. He's going to be holding Mr. Heisman come December because, there was 3 drives in the second half they didn't score, and he didn't look the greatest. But, my God, when push came to shove, that drive after that Oregon 4th down, why in the world did they punt it? 2 plays, they're in the end zone. And there's a $1:30 to go in the game, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, there's too much time to go. And you're down 4, and you leave a $1:30 and you score, and you leave a $1:30 on the plate, and you think it's too much time. That's the way this college game has changed. 20 years ago, a $1:30 would have seemed like 15 seconds. Now it seems like a day and a half.
Through that, and he came down and delivered when it mattered the most. That was my takeaway for him. He did struggle a little bit in the second half, mainly in that 4th quarter. But when he needed it and when they had to have it, he let him down and threw a strike to win the game. And so we'll give him credit for that. But let's be honest here for a second. Washington, because they're in the Pac-12 or the Pac-2, whatever you want to call it. They've still got a ways to go here, man. They play Arizona State, Stanford, USC. I'll give them 3 wins there. But then they play Utah, Oregon State, Washington State to finish the season. So they'll play, at least 4 more ranked teams. Yeah. And they have no cakewalk. So, if Penix is going to win the Heisman, he is going to have to earn it. And there's not going to be any question because he's going to have he's got a tough road to hoe the rest of the way, don't you think?
Well, Oregon State, I mean, now, granted, what happened to Washington State yesterday is just shocking to me. They just haven't looked good the last couple weeks. But I mean, Oregon State, if they didn't trip up against Washington State, I mean, could you imagine what that Civil War game is going to be like, especially the way Oregon State literally dominated Oregon on the line of scrimmage last year? I mean, that is going to be a revenge game like none other.
There's no doubt. And it's still going to be a good game.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think both those teams will come to play for sure. But yeah, I wish that Oregon State had not stubbed their toe, so to speak, in that ball game. Let's get into another game here that we kind of predicted before it occurred, and that would be the USC Notre Dame game. Me and you both picked Notre Dame in this game. They were favored by 3, and they pistol whipped USC. Everything that I thought would happen happened in this game. This is the first time that Caleb Williams was actually playing against a solid secondary, and he looked lost. He looked much maligned. He had no idea where his guys were half the time. The offensive line got manhandled. I'm not going to put this all on Caleb. I mean, a lot of times he didn't have time to throw it. No. Even when there were guys open, but there weren't guys open very often. That secondary for Notre Dame, I knew they were good when we watched them play against Ohio State, and they shut down, a lot of what Ohio State was trying to do for a lot of the game. And 48-20, I mean, it really wasn't even that close, to be honest with you. USC put up a touchdown, in the fourth quarter, but it didn't really matter. This is kind of, we said that USC was not a top 10 team. I'm not sure why they were ranked there. I guess because they're in LA and people want them to be ranked. I don't really know. But what was your overall synopsis of Notre Dame and USC, buddy?
Well, when you start breaking down the numbers, it's funny. You look at 48-20, and unless you watch the game, you never would understand it. Like SC had 10 more first downs. SC had over 50 more yards total offense. They were 6 of 13 from third down, where Notre Dame was 3 of 10. Until you get, and then they time of possession, SC had them by 10 minutes. But there was one key stat that freaking killed SC, was 2 fumbles lost and 3 interceptions. And those interceptions by Caleb Williams
were bad.
We're stuff that like freshmen make. This is by far, I mean, granted, USC's offensive line was awful, but their defense was exactly what we've said all year. I mean, their defense isn't good. And I don't think Alex Greenwich is going to be the DC next year at SC. Mark it down. I mean, this SC team, I mean, you look at the rest of their schedule, I mean, they could have real problems. I mean, you got Utah next week, who they've always struggled with.
They lost to them twice last year.
They've got Washington and Cal and UCLA. And then Washington, UCLA, and Oregon, excuse me. And then they got to go to Berkeley to play Cal, who, I mean, unless you have been watching football this year, Cal's 3-4, but they put up points. They're going to be able to score in this SC defense. And honestly, I look at their schedule on the way out. People are going to say I'm crazy, but 7-5 is pretty freaking realistic at the Coliseum for the Trojans.
I could see they're 6-1 right now. I mean, think about some of the games they've won too. I mean, that Colorado game, was very close. That Arizona game that was 43-41 in double overtime. I mean, they've escaped with a couple of games they probably shouldn't have won already, and then they've got Utah, Cal, Washington, Oregon, UCLA down the stretch. It doesn't get any easier for them. And I've got to be honest, I just don't know how Caleb Williams is going to come out next week and just completely forget about this game. That's going to be, I mean, I know that's what they're going to tell him to do. I know that's what he's going to tell himself to do, but you can't just forget parts of your life. You can't just, I know there's a movie with Ben Affleck that was like 20 years ago where they erase part of his memory and he does some job and they pay him for it and he moves on. That's fiction. You can't really do that. So I don't see Caleb Williams kind of just forgetting this game and moving on. I mean, he is a good player, but he's not the Heisman Trophy anymore because he's not going to win it this year. No. And he doesn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it before this game. And of course, I know Joel Klatt was already giving him and handing him the trophy, but you know, he was good. I mean, he gets yards, he gets points, but this team is just not as good as they're advertised. And they finally got exposed against a Notre Dame team that a lot of people were questioning, especially after that Louisville loss. But you know,
so many people want to see a back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner. Let's be honest. I mean, how many times in the last 15 years have you seen guys win it and then come back and invite it to the next year? They want it so bad to have somebody more than just Archie Griffin in that list, so they have something to talk about. But Caleb Williams, I don't even think is going to get invited.
He may not. He may not. I mean, I don't know yet. I've got to wait for a little bit to see who my, invitees would be. But as of today, he would not be. He would not be. I would not have him. I would not have him there just because I just think other guys deserve it more.
Well, I mean, he's going to have a problem because West Coast voters are going to vote for Nix or Penix over him.
Right.
So where's he going to get his votes from? The South?
No.
Who's going to vote for him in the South after he left Oklahoma? I mean, Oklahoma and Texas voters are purposely not going to vote for him.
Yeah, the Midwest voters are not going to vote for him.
They're not going to,
especially after they all watched this Notre Dame game.
Yeah, no way. I mean, East Coast voters. I mean, hell, most East Coast voters are already asleep by the time SC plays at night.
Yeah, that was the first. May have been the first look a lot of them got of him, and that wasn't a good one. So, that game honestly went pretty much how I expected it to go.
Well, I give Notre Dame credit on stepping up after literally laying an egg last week, where their offensive line got the little shit kicked out of them.
They did,
and they came out and laid some wood.
They did. The offensive line played a lot better. They only ran for 125 yards, but they pass protected on plays that they needed to and gave Sam Hartman time. They handled USC's defense. USC did not have one sack the entire game. Meanwhile, Notre Dame had 6. So that was the other thing. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, the Ohio State transfer, he was in the backfield quite a bit. The defensive tackle, Howard Cross, had a good game. He had a ball batted down and had a half a sack. Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback for Notre Dame, once again put on a really good show, in my opinion. I like this kid a lot. I think he's one of the best corners in college football, in my opinion. J.D. Bertrand had 11 tackles, including half a sack and a tackle for loss. I liked the effort that Notre Dame's defense gave, and especially in the second half, because they were up big at halftime. They were up 24-6, if my memory serves. Yeah. And they could have let the foot off the gas a little bit, but they did not. The defense kept playing hard, and I think Coach Freeman deserves some credit for that.
Well, I think the real MVP of that game was Al Golden, the DC of Notre Dame. I mean, he really dialed up a hell of a game. I mean, granted, I don't know what was up with the freaking Harry Carey glasses. I mean, like, that was just like, what the hell? I mean, I had to sit there. I'm like, is that the same guy that was coach at Miami a few years back? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, his fucking eyesight must have gone to hell. But yeah,
he was wearing the Coke glasses. On the
look at the chick in the tube top.
Hey man, he got it done.
And a 1 and a 2.
He got it done, dude. That's all that matters. I give him credit for that. It was a hell of a performance, and that was a big victory for Notre Dame because they needed that shit, man. After what happened in the last minute of the Ohio State game, after what happened last week, they needed that big time. Let's talk a minute about North Carolina. They got it done. Miami obviously had that horrible loss to Georgia Tech with the Mario Cristobal ball fumble with handing it off with 38 seconds left, even though the other team didn't have any timeouts, and he should have just taken a knee once again. But we got to start looking at North Carolina. I mean, are they better than they were last year in your opinion? And do they have a chance to win the ACC? I mean, what is your take on North Carolina? They're 6-0. They're ranked number 12. They put up 41 points on Miami. Where are you at with this North Carolina team? I know we both like Hampton. I think we both think that this team is better now that Walker's allowed to play. This guy, he gets deemed eligible, and he's scored like 7 touchdowns since. He had 3 touchdowns last night. What's your thoughts on North Carolina, and where do you see them in the college football landscape?
You know what's funny is I keep looking at Carolina and I keep saying the same thing. I think Drake May is trying to make the safe call too much. I think he's going to stop getting out of his head. Because let's be honest, he's going to be a top 1, 2, or 3 pick in next year's draft if quarterback's taken off the board. And I think he's playing it too safe. I think he's just got to go out there and just play ball. Defensively, they've got some issues, especially at the corner position, because they've had guys transferred out. But yeah, do I still think they can win the ACC? Absolutely. Florida State, them. The conference is pretty. Hell, Duke is playing significantly better, even without Riley Leonard.
Yeah, the
defense is so underestimated in Durham. It's not even funny.
They are legit, and we saw it several weeks ago when Clemson came to town, and that defense stood tall the entire game. And to go out and win a game like that this weekend, even without their quarterback, 24-3, I think we got to give Duke a little bit of credit there as well. They played NC State, who's one of their rivals, and they pistol whipped them 24-3 without their starter. That's big time, bro. Especially since a lot of people, thought NC State might be a little better than they are. I think I did. I'm not sure where I think they are at now, but that was a big win by Duke. And, North Carolina, Duke, we're talking usually basketball with these two programs. And these two teams are no longer basketball schools. They've got some football going down in the Tobacco Road, at least in my opinion.
Agreed. Mac Brown's done a hell of a job there.
He really has. And, I was kind of like, is Mac, why is he doing this? I'm like, why is he getting back into coaching at his age? But he wanted to do it, and he's certainly doing a good job.
Agreed.
So we should give him some credit. Real quickly, let's get into Oregon State, UCLA, 36-24. Oregon State, DJU once again comes out and has a pretty solid performance. Oregon State, 6-1 now. The one hiccup against Washington State a couple weeks ago, but they've played strong. It's not just DJU. They had Damian Martinez ran for 90 yards. Deshaun Fenwick ran for 52. Pretty good overall defense. Only giving up 14 points in the second half. What's your thoughts on the Beavers?
John. How long have you known me? And I've been talking about the praise of Jonathan Smith.
You like him. You like him.
He is. The one thing that concerned me going into this game was their starting left tackle is out, who's a Senior Bowl invite. But literally line of scrimmage play once again. The only shocker in that game was how high scoring it was, because both these teams are like a barroom brawl. They literally go after every inch, and I did not expect this game even to get over 50 points.
Yeah, I did not either, but it certainly did. And, Dante Moore, I think, is a kid that, looked a little rough in this game, 3 interceptions.
He's a freshman.
But he's a freshman. He's been kind of up and down, and I'm not going to kill him for this effort just because of, his age. And I've seen some flashes out of him. So I'm not going to rip him apart for this game. But, UCLA's not done. They're 4-2. They've got, they're in the toughest conference in college football. So we'll see where they go from here. Let's talk about the game that I was at, and that is the Tennessee Volunteers taking on the Texas A&M Aggies. This is not last year's Tennessee team, buddy.
180.
It's completely different. I got to be honest. This is not the Tennessee team that started the year. This defense has come a long, long way.
Oh yeah.
No way on earth did I expect them to go out and hold A&M to 13 points, held them to field goals, shut them down. Really, they couldn't really get anything going. The only plays that Max Johnson hit was when he was getting nailed and he was falling to the ground and was throwing, left arm was throwing passes, kind of in desperation. And he completed some of those, but he still had 2 interceptions. There was a long return. The defense was in the backfield. They only had 2 sacks, but they were in the backfield all day. The Knoxville Catholic product, Tyler Barron, did a great job getting in the backfield. Aaron Beasley had a hell of a game. I couldn't have been more impressed with this Tennessee defense. And then the running game, 232 rushing yards. Milton had 34, Jabari Small 42, Sampson 25, and then Jalen Wright had the big game with 19 carries for 136 yards. I got to be honest, man. If they can get some of these receivers to step up, Tennessee might be a tough out as the season goes on. Their passing game is kind of in limbo right now, and I understand that. But when you can run the ball and play defense, you can travel.
Well, what's funny is I look at this game, and I think the biggest winner out of this was a team that didn't even play in this game, and that's Georgia. Because if Tennessee lost this game and they got knocked out of the top 25, Georgia would have, that's right, no top 25 games on their schedule the entire year. Now, Fat Joe Milton is not doing punt, pass, and kick. He's actually going to play quarterback, but I got to give him credit. The offensive line is really stepping up. They got to get some help from receivers. Exactly what you said. Squirrel White. I mean, granted, when you lose a guy like Tillman, Hyatt, and now Brew McCoy is hurt, somebody's got to step up to provide some balance to this offense. Otherwise, everybody's just going to stack the freaking line.
Yeah, man. I mean, when your leading receiver is Chaz Nimrod with 4 catches for 31 yards, that is not good. As a team, they had 11 catches for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. And
by the way, Chaz Nimrod, he got crap as a kid having that name.
Nimrod. Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to say anything. You just call him out. And
I mean, literally the comebacks just speak for themselves. Nimrod. But
my biggest thing, bro, is Keaton last year. This kid played pretty well when he came in for Tillman when he got injured. I'm talking about Ramel Keaton. He had to step up, and he really did, and came through and helped this team a lot down the stretch. He's a senior, 6'3", 197 out of Marietta, Georgia, and dropped at least 2 passes yesterday, including a surefire walk-in touchdown. And everyone wants to put all the passing game problems on Joe, and they want to they're already calling for Nico, bro. They won the game yesterday, and after the game, all of the reaction shows, all of Vol Twitter, all they want to do is pull the quarterback. And I'm sitting there at the game. This is, I remember, and as I mentioned earlier, why I don't go to the games. There's a dude standing behind me screaming "Fire Heupel" throughout the game.
Jesus Christ!
They're winning. And these guys yelling to fire Heupel and saying that he sucks. The best coach they've had here in 20 plus years. And these fans, I mean, he gets people to help him yell it. And he's calling to fire Josh Heupel.
Something, we should start a campaign on Monday morning quarterbacks, because if you're willing to start screaming stuff like fire Heupel, then they should be the ones that actually pay the buyout.
Yeah.
And guess what? I guarantee you all those Monday morning quarterbacks would be shutting their freaking mouth, even if freaking Texas A&M was taking Tennessee out to the freaking woodshed. I mean, I'm tired of this, folks. If you're going to sit there and complain all the time, then pony the hell up. Put some cash on the line.
They're 5-1.
I know.
Their only loss is down in the swamp. They beat a good Texas A&M team that has a fabulous secondary and a really good defense overall. It's not like they were playing, Austin Peay. This was a good defense, and they took what the defense gave them and they ran all over them when Alabama couldn't run at all.
Look at last
Texas
year.
A&M.
Look at last year. I mean, this is year 2 of the Heupel experiment, and they far exceeded expectations last year. And I mean, with what, razor thin depth chart? I sit there and laugh my ass off whenever I hear people say this after one game. If that's the case, break out your checkbook. Heck, save all your pennies because if you want him fired, you should pay the buyout.
Yeah, this is year 3 actually.
Oh, it is year 3.
Yeah. He took
Oh,
over
that's
in
right.
2021 after the Pruitt disaster.
Oh, yeah, because they played Purdue in the bowl game in Music City. Yeah,
correct.
You're right.
But they went 7-6, which I thought was a tremendous job.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
And then last year went 11-2 and won the Sugar Bowl. So big time win for them, and kind of an unorthodox win, the way they were able to go out and get it done from a defensive perspective. I just can't believe how well that defense played. And I know Texas A&M isn't the greatest offense, in the league. It's probably not one of the top 20 in the college football, but Max Johnson's a guy that's played some games for both LSU and Texas A&M. They have, talent at every position in running back, wide receiver. They've got 5 stars all over the field. And this defense really, really stepped up, which was huge after, not being able to deliver the goods against Florida. So let's go ahead and change gears right now because we've got a guest ready to join us. I'm going to pop him on. All right.
You got it.
All right. All right, we got a real special guest today. We got the former corner at Ohio State, my team, GAREON Conley, to join us. How you doing today, G?
What's up? I'm good. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, man, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We are both big fans of yours, and we are so glad you got to come on and talk to us today. Just want to kind of check in with you, man. Unbelievable career. My whole family's from Mansfield, Ohio, so I know all about Massillon and all that from your high school days. And you come in first round pick, and now you're trying to get back. Just give us a little heads up on where you're at and what's going on with you.
Yeah. So right now I'm currently I'm kind of rehabbing, but I'm basically like finished my rehab,
Nice.
and I'm just waiting for opportunity. I had my agent hit up teams last week.
Okay.
So basically waiting for opportunity, trying to stay healthy and stay ready. I've been rehabbing for damn near 3 years, trying to find out what was wrong with my leg. And had like I think it was 5 or 6 surgeries.
Good
and
night.
5 of them were like just guess surgeries. Like we think it's this, we think it's that. None of them helped. And then come to find out, I had nerve damage. So I had the final surgery, and I feel like after that one, it kind of helped a little bit. But as far as nerve damage, is just it heals whenever it heals. Like it's on my body. It has no time limit. Like it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be never. So basically, I'm got to this point where it has healed, and I've been able to run. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Just waiting on opportunity now.
Nice.
Well, growing up in Massillon, I've been a big fan of that program. Heck, I still have a copy of Go Tigers in my DVD. In my granted, you played in some big games.
Yeah.
But I mean, in Massillon, unless probably one of the best rivalries in all of high school football is you guys versus McKinley.
Yeah, that's this week.
Yeah, it is this week.
Compare that to like playing against Michigan. I mean, because let's be honest, it's one thing, being Columbus when there's millions of people around.
Yeah.
In Massillon, there's like 30,000 people. You can't walk out your front door without somebody talking about it. I mean, describe like playing in that kind of history of that program.
Yeah. I feel like I've been lucky. Well, I don't believe in luck. I've been honored to play in like a lot of tradition-rich programs. So coming from Massillon, I think it just started me off. Like you said, Massillon-McKinley rival is the biggest high school rivalry in the country. Like like fans are, when the game is sold out, I know at Massillon, when the game is sold out, there's like another 5,000 to 10,000 people outside of the fence just tailgating, watching like through the fence. Like it's crazy. It's wild. And it's just like me playing in that, I think it just got me ready for all the bigger games in my life. And just being a part of Massillon tradition is just crazy. Like we win that game, right after the game, we go down on a big ass bus and we drive through downtown, and everybody's just lined up. The streets are blocked off. Like they're just out there just cheering, whether it's cold or not. Like they're just out there just cheering, clapping, and we ride down the whole Lincoln Way Street. Like it's crazy.
It's like a
And
Super Bowl parade, man.
yeah, it's literally like that. Like it just sets you up for like the further career of football, like college and in the league.
Well,
That's good.
I mean, because for those out there that don't understand the tradition, like I know
Yeah,
it more from the Maslin side. The
yeah,
mayor allows a basically a permit to the band that they could basically
hmm,
march through
yeah,
anywhere in the city during the
yeah,
game.
yeah,
And then every boy, and this is a question I've got for you.
hmm,
Every boy born in Maslin gets a stuffed Obi, which is their
yeah,
tiger, when they're
yeah,
born.
yeah.
One, do you still have your Obi?
I didn't get an Obi. Well, it's a Obi. It's a football. It's an Obi
Oh, it's a
football.
football. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was a stuffed animal, but it's a football.
No. So
Okay.
they get a like a the little silicone or plastic
Yep.
footballs you can put
Yep.
air in. They give you one of those and it has Obi on it. So yeah, I still have mine. And then they actually, when my 2-year-old was born, they sent me one for him. So he has one downstairs
That's
too.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
crazy.
cool, man.
They
That's
don't do
pretty
it
cool.
like
So talk
the
to us.
back in the day though. Like the Go Tigers.
Uh, it-
They were doing like the coaches would come in the hospital and saying like what they think the baby would be. Like if it was a long baby, they'd be like, "Oh, he's gonna be a wide receiver." Like they were taking it to that extreme back in the day. It was crazy.
start
It was
start
wild.
seeing who's going to play linebacker right away. I
Yeah,
get it.
it
Well, talk
was
to
it
us a
was
little bit.
crazy.
Let's go back in history a little bit. Now you were coming out of Maslin. You played corner, you played wide receiver. You were thinking about maybe going to the team up north of here
Yeah,
that we're not going to discuss. But you committed to them. We're about to head that way, and then you changed your mind and became a
yeah,
Buckeye. Talk to us about your recruitment and what it was like for you, what you remember about it, and what stuck out to you, and why you ended up deciding to go to the right place.
yeah. So what's crazy is like I always like to tell my story because people don't know. So
Uh-huh.
I wasn't a football player growing up. I played
Mhm.
basketball since I was like 3 years old. I didn't
Yep.
play my first snap of football until seventh grade, and I was
Wow.
a running back. And in eighth grade, I was a quarterback. And then I moved to Massillon my freshman year. And the first day of workouts, they asked me what position I play, and I said quarterback. And they already had like their hometown quarterback that they wanted to play. So they were like, "Oh, well, we already have a quarterback. Would you want to play wide receiver?" And I was like, "Nah." So I quit. So I quit the first day, like after workout. So I didn't play football my freshman year. My sophomore year, I ended up playing again. I was on JV. I didn't get in at all on JV. I was number 97 on JV as a receiver. Like
Oh my gosh.
they disrespected me, and it was just like I was really like doing good at practices, like against the varsity, like everything, but they just didn't play me. So I was just like, I'm not even gonna play football anymore. And I told them, and they were trying to get me to like come out for like summer workouts and stuff, and I was like, nah. But then I ended up changing my mind and playing. And then my junior year, uh, the coach, it was a coach actually from McKinley. He coached Mike Doss. His name
Yeah.
is John Miller.
Hmm.
Call him Spider. He was like, we got a starting corner spot, like it's open, like you should try out for football again, or like you should play. And then I ended up playing, and he coached me up, and I ended up getting my first offer um from Northwestern, I think
Okay.
was the first offer. And then the team up north offered me, and then it was just like I never been in recruiting, I never heard about it. So I thought like when you got an offer, you were supposed to commit. So like
I
I
got
went
you.
to Michigan or team up north, and I like went up there, and they try to get you to commit when you go on the visit. So
Yeah.
I'm listening to everything, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to commit. And then that's when other schools, of course, other schools started recruiting me more. And then Ohio State started to come a little bit, but they weren't even heavy. But Michigan was so scared, like that when they heard other schools coming, they thought I just wanted to go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I wanted to visit other schools because I didn't know you could get like 5 free visits. And I'm like, I
Right.
want to journey out. I want to see all these other schools. And not saying I'm not gonna go to Team Up North still. Like I just want to see other schools. And my quarterback, he was talking to Cincinnati heavy,
Uh-huh.
and I went there visit, and they threatened to pull my scholarship.
Whoa.
Brady Hoke had a emergency or something, which they never explained to me. So it's just like when I heard that, I just took it as a threat. So I was like, all right, well, I'm decommitting. So I told Greg Madison at the time, he was a recruiter for Team Up
Yeah,
North, and
he
I was
was
like,
the
I'm
D coordinator.
decommitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came to the school just on some random, like when he just comes to check up on me. And I was just like, yo, look, I'm decommitting. He was like, no, you don't want to do that. He was like, you don't want to go to Ohio State. Da, 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 da. There's some liars up there and this, and that, just like bashing Ohio State. And I'm just looking in my head like, bro, I didn't even say anything about Ohio State. I just said I want to decommit because I wanted to visit. And I wanted to visit Cincinnati, actually. It wasn't even Ohio State. But I guess rumors were going around that Ohio State was recruiting me, so they thought I wanted to visit Ohio State. So he just came out of nowhere and just said that about Ohio State. And I was just like, all right, well, I was like, I'm still decommitted. It doesn't matter. And even my head coach at the time was like trying to get me to stay committed to the team up north because um, the guy who built the indoor for Maslin
Yeah,
and Paul David is his son or his grandson, I think, Jeff David. He was a Michigan alumni.
I got you.
So they were like big on me getting to go there, and my coach was even like mad low key that I didn't or that I decommitted, and I was just like, I don't care. Like I didn't even really like my head coach anyway.
Yeah.
So then I started just visiting or not even visiting. I started talking to other schools, and then Mike Vrabel was just coming in a lot, and just I got real cool with him. He was just telling me about Ohio State, and then of course Devin Smith. I don't know if y'all know that's my cousin.
Hmm.
Yeah, the
He
wide
went
receiver.
to Massillon and he was at Ohio State already, so he was telling me about it. And then I ended up like going through my season. Coach Meyer started coming to like my practices, came to my basketball practices and stuff, came to my house. And he just was just telling me all this stuff, and then I ended up going on a visit after um our season was over that year, and I ended up going to Ohio State. I committed.
It's
I
pretty
actually wanted to go to Oregon though, because obviously I just wanted to go because their uniforms. Like I loved it. I literally wanted to
Their
go there.
uniforms are pretty
Yeah.
dope, man. I
So
mean,
like my last game of my senior year when we or not my last game, last home game when we played McKinley in the rival game, I had on some neon socks because I was getting recruited by Oregon and I wanted to go there. But that's when like Chip Kelly was like about to leave
to
and
go
they
to the
didn't have a
NFL.
scholarship left for me or something. Like the corner coach from Oregon came all the way to Massillon just to see my practice. So I'm like, they're definitely gonna offer me. And then he
Yeah,
was just like, we only have one offer left and I don't know if they want to give it to this guy or this guy. So I was like, all right, I'm not waiting. So I ended up committing to Ohio State.
yeah.
And
How
that's how
was
it
your
went.
in-home visit with Urban? Like what I mean, like when you had your in-home visits,
Yeah.
like what was that like? Like I mean, like what do they talk? I mean, obviously they're going to talk football, but like
Yeah.
what's that like for you guys?
Yeah, I don't even necessarily. I mean, I don't remember specific stuff, but I don't even remember really talking about football like that. I mean, he would pick my brain about like what do I want out of football and what do I want to do if like football doesn't work out, and like do I want to win and what do I feel like my skill set is, stuff like that. But like other than that, I feel like he just talked about like mindset stuff. Like, do you want to be a winner? Like what do you want to do after football? What do you want to do if football doesn't work out? Like he just picked your brain, and then obviously he would pick my parents' brain as well. Like
Yeah.
so, I feel like that's a reason why I like led to Urban a lot because it was more about winning in life. It wasn't just about winning in football. But obviously he had a track record of winning in football, and like he wanted to win a championship. I wanted to win a championship. So I think there's just a connection of the mindsets were the same. I think that's how he gets or how he got all the players that he got like recruiting if he went on visits. And then the people he has come, like Mike Vrabel, Kerry Combs, Luke Fickle, like when those guys are coming to recruit people, they speak the same language. So I
Yeah,
feel like that's why I ended up committing.
yeah, there's no doubt. And just tell us a little bit about how it felt, after you talk about all that and you envision it, and then it happens, and then you're
Yeah,
walking in and you're winning the championship. I mean,
yeah,
that's got to be a good feeling.
yeah. It's testimony, and then it's just like you got to take risk in life. You got to take chances. Like never nothing's 100%. You never know what's gonna happen. You just got to take a risk. So it's just like when you take a risk, you take an opportunity. You trust somebody that's telling you something, and it happens. It's just like it's beneficial, and it makes you believe more and get more confidence. Because everybody has like that doubt or that trust issue or trusting people or taking a chance because that's like not even just football. Like I said, it's your life. Like that's the next 4 years possibly of your life that can determine what you do, whether your football works out or not. So it's like
Yeah.
you just taking a risk, trusting the guy that's coming to talk. That you get multiple people coming to say like similar stuff. So it's just like, who do you trust? Like this coach is telling me this coach is telling me that. Like which one do I pick, and how do I know it's gonna work out? So the fact that it does work out is just like it's amazing.
No doubt.
When was that first time you were on campus that you realized I'm not in Maslin anymore? When you
hmm
saw like one of your opponents do something like "Holy crap"
hmm On the
or
field?
on the field, practice games. I mean, whatever it may be.
I think it was, well, honestly, I think it was practice. I mean, I feel like, excuse me, Coach Meyer made practices harder than games. So
Oh
like
yeah.
when I got there, honestly, I think when I got there my freshman year, because I redshirted, and I
Mhm.
remember in practice, Devin actually he caught like a slant, and he's fast as hell. He caught a slant, and he was open, and I like didn't chase after him, and he went for like 100 yards damn near. We were like in a backed up period. And I don't even know if he remembers this, but he got me kicked out of practice, like, because I didn't run after him. Like, I just stopped. And Coach Meyer was like, Gary, get him off my field. Get him off my field. And I was just like, he's gone. Like, well, I'm not about to catch him. Like, I already know how Devin, like, it's like one of those moments where it's like you can chase after him and look like you're chasing after him. But in my head, I'm like, I know who Devin is. Like, this dude won 100 meters at my high school. Like,
he,
he's all
he
state. Like, he
he's one of
goes
the
to
best deep threats ever in
yeah,
college
Yeah,
and
football.
he's running track for Ohio State too. Like he's playing football and running track for Ohio State. I'm not about to catch him. Like so, I
well, I
just
mean,
stopped,
it,
and he was
it,
like, "Nah, get off the field."
it's not like the first time you saw him. I mean, heck, you guys were probably
Yeah,
playing backyard football when you guys were in elementary
yeah,
school.
that's what
So,
I'm
I mean,
saying. Like, so I'm like, bro, I'm not about to chase him. So I just in my head, like when he caught it, I'm like, fuck. Like I was pissed, but it's just like I'm about to chase him. So I just stopped. But it's like the fact that I didn't even try or like give effort, like I was going to try to get him. He just kicked me off the field. And I
Mm,
was just like, that was like the first moment when I was like, damn, I'm not at Massillon no more. Like I'm not the shit. I'm not the captain. I'm not the senior. I don't have that leeway to do that. Because
yeah,
you'll have somebody do that the next play that's been a starter or something, and he won't say nothing. It's
yeah,
just like you got to remember, like you're the new guy coming in. You got
yeah.
to
You
earn
gotta
your way.
earn your keep, man. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
crazy. And I played at a small school, so nothing like Ohio State. I played up at Ohio Wesleyan, but it was crazy to me when the first day I got there. I was like, everybody was good,
yeah,
and I the biggest thing that I noticed was it was crazy just trying to kind of balance everything that you got to do. And talk to
yeah,
us a little bit about that. When you get to school, you got film sessions, you got practice, you got games, you got to travel, you got appearances, you got all this stuff, and you got to go to school, and you got to have time for yourself. What
yeah.
was that like for you? Dealing with college football and all that goes into it.
Yeah, I feel like I tell people all the time, college was the hardest but the most fun time of my life. Like it was a lot. Like the schedule was hectic and crazy. And going from like I said, the guy in Massillon and like doing what I want, like my senior year, like yeah, I was getting good grades and stuff, but it's just like I felt like I didn't really have to do any work because it's just like that's on the back end. Like that's when you take all the easier classes and you're about to go to college. So just getting into college and then jumping right into it. Like I went from because I made it to state for track and that's at Ohio State in
Yep.
Ohio. So I don't even think I went back home. I think I stayed in Columbus. So it's just like jumping right into it. You got workouts, you got summer school. So it was just like we had to just hurry up and jump and throw in the fire. But I feel like the schedule it's really hectic, but it's just like it you got either a choice to make something of it or just complain and bitch about it. So I just
Yeah.
made it happen. But I feel like as far as my freshman year, I hated it, but I traveled because I redshirted, but I traveled. Coach Combs made me travel because he said he wanted me to get the experience. So
Yeah.
that kind of helped me when I started playing because it was like I already knew like the schedule of like when I'm playing, when I got to go to class, when we come back, we got practice, we got meetings, we got all this. So that kind of helped me, even though I didn't like to do it, but It's just
Yeah.
like if you didn't travel as a freshman, it was like you had so much free time. So I feel like some of those kids jumping into playing, like their schedule had to change up. So I didn't really have to change my schedule from when I got there.
No doubt.
So you were at the snow game in 2014 in Minnesota then.
Minnesota, oh my God, yes, standing on the sideline.
That I was at that game,
Yeah.
and it was funny. Who's the guy that wears the cowboy hat and the Ohio
The
State
paints
flag?
up and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
him
his
and
name, but I remember him.
him and
Yeah.
Bucknut were walking around the corridors, and like, I mean, for us, it was just like another winter day. It's snowing out, like 4 inches of
Yeah.
snow. This is easy for us. You would have swore to God the look on their eyes that a polar bear was going to come over and pick somebody off. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
hell, there was the guy eating the dilly bar on the sidelines before the game. And I just remember Urban
Yeah.
Meyer's look on his face on that. But hey,
Yeah, it's crazy.
getting to my question, you've seen not only between high school, your family, college, the pros, you've had a lot of probably great mentors. Who gave you the best advice throughout
Mhm.
all your players, coaches, whoever it may be, gave you the best advice to help you develop from an athletic perspective, or heck, from a life perspective too, as well?
Um, it's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like I didn't really have a mentor. I feel like I had a lot of people that I could learn from, whether it was the wrong thing or the right thing. Because if I learned like the wrong thing, I learned what not to do. So I feel
Yeah.
like I had a lot of that growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
My mom showed me like a lot of what to do, but like as far as like a male figure, I didn't have that in my life for real. So I figured I can take it as a different approach. Like everything I'm seeing is what not to do, so I know what not to do. So now I know how to do things right in certain ways. But I feel like as far as when I got to Ohio State, it was just every coach, every um, like even the staff, just people on the staff, like Stamp, like just helping me or helping anybody you wanted to go to, like and talk to anything about or needed help, like they would help you, like on the staff, whether they were a coach or just a GA or anything. Like I even would watch film sometimes with GAs, like extra film and do stuff. So I didn't
Mhm.
really have a mentor. I feel like just at Ohio State, the environment was set up for success. Like the kids who I mean, if they left because they wanted to play somewhere else, they feel like they didn't play or
Yeah.
whatever. I understand that. But the kids who like got kicked out or didn't prosper from like the football team or that environment, like
Yeah.
it was their choice to be just fuck up because
Yeah.
Coach Meyer set the whole experience up for you to succeed. Like whether you were a walk on or not. Like there's walk ons I know that were on our team in the times I was there that have great jobs because of the job fairs we had, real life Wednesdays. Like it's way more than just football when he was there. So and I'm sure it's still
Mhm.
like that, but I
Yeah.
know he started well, I don't know about Tressel. I don't know what he did, but I know Coach Meyer started that job
Yeah.
fair or like Wednesdays and stuff like that. So it was just like I didn't have an exact mentor, but I feel like when I got there, it was just like a mentorship, just environment. So
Yeah, I feel like Coach Meyer set up a good support system for at least from the guys that I've talked to,
Yeah.
yeah,
so that they can succeed, on the field and off. And Coach Meyer, so much is said about him in the media with these idiots that don't even know him.
yeah,
But the guy, he's a winner, man. He knows how to win, and he knows how to get out of his players what they've got in them, in my
exactly.
opinion. And
Yeah.
just tell me your thoughts on him, because I always love Coach Meyer. I feel like he's the second best coach that I've ever seen. Maybe a little
Hmm.
bit below Nick Saban, but he's got a different way of doing things than Saban. And I just feel like he kind of gets a bum rap from all the people that like to hate on him.
Yeah. I think the thing about what people say about Coach Meyer, it's all stuff that happens like from other people around him, like the
Mhm.
Yeah,
stuff at Florida, like it's all the players and all that stuff, and it's just like whether he handled it this way or that way, it's just like he had to do what he had to do to handle it. Like it
yeah,
wasn't him being a bad person or being a bad coach. It was him
yeah,
trying to figure a way out from people that are bad around him. So same
yeah,
thing at Ohio State, like with the stuff with the coaches or whatever, like it
yeah,
wasn't him doing anything. It was somebody else that had, and he gets the fault for the problem because he's the head coach. So it's just like he takes a lot on, but he
yeah,
doesn't care about the media, and I know that, so it doesn't matter. But as far as my perspective on him, like, man, he's a great dude. Like, he changed my life. He's changed so many lives, uh, wherever he's been. But I know at Ohio State for sure, just witnessing it, he changed a lot of people's lives, and he showed us how to be like men on and off the field. He showed us how to win on and off the field. Like you said, he knows how to win, and he knows how to get other people to have that mindset to win, like to just maximize their potential. He always said that. Like, so it's just like I anything I said about Coach Meyer, I just like I don't really care because I know who he is and I've
Yep.
been with him. And some people have bad experiences with certain people too. Like, I
Yeah.
know there's players that will be like, oh, I don't like him, and it's just like, all right, but it's just like I feel like if you did the right shit, there was no reason for you not to like Coach Meyer at
Yeah.
all.
Well, you can't be everything to everyone. I mean,
Right,
otherwise you're
exactly. You can't
nothing at
save
all.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, quite frankly, a lot of people out there with Coach Meyer like to play a lot of Monday morning quarterback, where they would say, "Well, I would have done it this way." Well, you're not in
Exactly.
this
You're not
situation.
him.
Yeah.
Right.
Real easy to say from your couch, bro.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Monday morning quarterbacks never have a loss, but maybe
Yeah.
it's time to get fired every once in a while. But
Yeah.
what was the most like hyped game? Like when you ran out in the field, you're like, "Holy crap!" Like this
At Ohio
is
State?
at Ohio State. Even on the
Um,
road, even the
I was
road.
about to say on home or on the road. I would say Wisconsin.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. So no, when he ran out on the field, it would definitely be a night game at Penn State, whiteout
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I would say out of that game and night game in Wisconsin, it was lit. Like
Camp
they
Randall.
did the lights and they did the jump around song and it was fire. And
Did
I
you jump
remember
around in third quarter too as well?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when we came back too. So it was perfect. Like it
Yeah.
was like a light show for us, it felt like. But Ohio State actually copied that the next week when we had a night game. They copied Wisconsin and did like the
Threw it
light
out
thing.
there.
Yeah. But
That's awesome, man.
but
Did you
as
jump?
far as loud, it would definitely be night game at Penn State.
Penn
Like
State.
you can't hear your teammate next to you on the field. Like it's
Really?
crazy. Yeah, it's wild. And
Yeah, they got-
they're nasty at Penn State.
Yeah, man.
They were
It's a
throwing like
crazy
piss
place.
bottles at our bus and all type of stuff.
Holy
Piss
crap.
They would
bottles.
pee at bottles and throw it at the bus and stuff. Yeah.
That sounds about like Penn State fans.
It's
The
crazy.
only people I know that keep their own urine handy. so anyway, man, I hope everything works out for you. I know you've been battling, and I guess my last question before we get you out of here, I just want to know, you seem like you've been doing a really good job of staying positive through all this, and I just want to know how, with all the injuries that you've had to deal with and all the stuff you've gone through recently, how have you kept it positive, man?
I was just talking to my cousin about this because we have a podcast and we were talking about like positivity, and it's just like I need to figure out how to explain like how I do it.
Yeah.
But it's just like I feel like my mindset since I was like 5, like because it was just me and my mom and she had to work a lot, so I was at home a lot by myself. So it's just like I had to grow up quick and I had to make a positive mindset quick, and I feel like I just did that throughout my whole life, and
Kept it
I
going.
understand like everything is just about how you respond. Like that's how I take it. Like there's gonna be so much shit that happens that you can't control, and it's just about how you respond. So it's just like there's gonna be obstacles. There's gonna be shit where you feel like you don't want to get up today, or you don't want to do anything, or you're feeling so-called depressed or anything. But it's just like I got to get up and do it because nobody's gonna do it for me, and you got to stay positive through the whole thing. So I feel like that's what kept me just positive through the whole thing.
I like it. And where can people find you guys pod at?
It's Different Views Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and then DIFF Views Pod on Twitter.
Okay.
And then our YouTube is Different Views Podcast as well. It's just
All right.
all one word. Yeah.
All right. We'll share it out, man. We'll get the word out for it. And Aaron, we appreciate you so much, man. We were always, both of us were big fans of yours, and we really, really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today, and telling us about some of your experiences and sharing with us, because we appreciate it. We know all of our viewers enjoyed it too. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your weekend, and best of luck on everything going forward, man. You got 2 guys over here that are definitely cheering for you and wishing you the best, okay?
The
Yep,
Vikings
thank
need
you.
a corner in the worst way.
Tell
So
him call me. Tell him call
trust
me.
me, if we can get Jesus to put his hands on your injury, I'd love to have you up here like yesterday. So
Yeah,
All
tell
right,
him call
man.
me.
All
All right,
right, man.
got it.
Good luck, Gabe.
Thank
thanks.
you.
See you, G. All right, man. That was pretty sweet. Getting into what's going on with Gareon. Had a great career at Ohio State. First round draft pick by the at the time Oakland Raiders. Had some good games for the Raiders, and then got traded. Had a bad start of the season. I believe it was 2019, and then got traded to the Texans, and then had 8 of his best games of his career, and then got injured, and he's been dealing with injuries ever since. So everybody, I don't have to say anything. You guys just heard from him. He's about the realest dude that I've ever met. And, I don't know how you can't cheer for that guy and hope that he can get back if he wants to.
Absolutely.
It seems to me like he's such a smart guy and has had, is so self-driven that he could probably succeed at anything he wants. So if football doesn't work out for him going forward, he's got, a really good career to look back on and nothing, no regrets, I'm sure. And he can do whatever he wants moving forward. It seems like based on the kind of guy that he is.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that really came across to me is you could tell if he made a mistake, it'd be like water off a duck's back. And let's get ready for the next play. He's not going to sit there and think about it. Let's worry about what's in front of us, not what's behind us. So,
man, that's how you got to be if you're going to be a corner.
Oh yeah, freaking that is one of the hardest positions in the world. Hey, plus, how can you not cheer for him? You love these comeback stories. I mean, you don't like the story of the guy born on third base that hits a home run. It's the guy that's overcoming obstacles, and this is freaking awesome. So,
hey, what was that? A shot at Ryan Day there? Was that a shot at Ryan Day?
For what?
I'm joking. That was
wait, was it that he hasn't? I mean,
no, that was the Harbaugh quote that he was born on third base.
Freaking
but
Harbaugh.
You play Nebraska and UNLV and Bowling Green every week. I guess you can say whatever you want. But anyhow, that was an awesome interview. I'm really glad that G had the time to join us today. He's got a busy schedule. He's still rehabbing, like he said. He's trying to get on a team. He's trying to get right and get his leg healthy. Imagine sitting there and getting ready to go under the knife and have a surgery and having no idea really what they're going to do and whether or not they can fix what's going on. I mean, it's nerve-wracking enough, no pun intended, having to deal with having surgery, but having like an exploratory surgery like that and having multiples, I just feel bad for the dude, and I know that could not have been easy. So I really, really wish the best for him moving forward. But it was cool to get an insight into a real guy that did it and played college football at the highest level, all Big Ten corner, national champion, first round draft pick. I mean, if anybody can tell us about college football on a big stage, it's a dude like that. So it was cool getting to talk to him. And another great week of college football in the books. We are up to week 8, James, if you can believe that.
It's crazy.
I can't. It's hard for me to believe. And it's shit, as G would say, shit is about to get real. Penn State is coming to Columbus. Noon kickoff next week. Saturday, October 21st. I'm already a little nervous. Washington State travels to Oregon. Tennessee travels to Tuscaloosa. What am I forgetting? Michigan plays Michigan State. Michigan State sucks, so that's not really a big deal. But Duke, Florida State is a good game. Utah, USC always has a pretty good battle. And a lot of other good games next week. Which one's sticking out to you, bro?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The game where I think I think the game everybody's going to want to talk about, and I wonder if G was basically trying to tell Ohio State fans to get your piss ready and make sure you throw it at Penn State's bus when they show up in Columbus next week. So,
yep, save your piss.
That's going to be a game. That is going to be one hell of a game. And one thing I got to say is I think this is, I mean, we've already seen Jim Knowles coming out party against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the game that people are going to remember moving forward.
I
for the
agree.
Buckeyes.
I think Jim Knowles has done a fabulous job, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting the credit that he deserves.
He's not.
This defense was in shambles when he arrived. Kerry
Yeah.
Coombs, God bless his soul. You heard GAREON Conley talking about Coach Coombs. He's a great guy, great defensive backs coach, a phenomenal recruiter, an unbelievable man. Defensive coordinator was not really in his repertoire, and that's not. I'm not making fun of him. I'm not saying I could do a better job because I don't think I could. I've never done it. And I wasn't one of those Buckeye fans that criticized Coach Coombs and ripped him apart. I felt like he wasn't set up for success the way he kind of got thrown into that role, and it didn't really work out for him. But the defense was just not in a good spot at that time and before Coach Knowles got here. And last year you could kind of see it getting better, and then this year it looks completely different across the board. So I am really interested in seeing what that defense does against Penn State and also the young quarterback. I mean, this kid, he's been much maligned throughout this season, but if you look at him, he's thrown for over 1,600 yards. He's got 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Say what you want about Kyle McCord, man, for a first-time starter. I think he's done a pretty good job.
Well, I mean, honestly, the problem is everybody's going to compare him to the last 3 quarterbacks. And that's an unfair comparison.
He's not them.
He's not them. I think one of the bigger issues is the injury. I mean, the offensive line not being good enough and the injuries at running back. And the one question I have for Coach Day is this. Why are you redshirting Dallas Hayden?
I played him yesterday.
Yeah, but the talk is they want to keep him under 4 games.
Well, they can't. They can't.
They can't afford to.
He's got to play. He's got to play, and he showed it yesterday. This kid was the real deal down the stretch. I know his dad, who played here at Tennessee, Aaron Hayden. He was one of the best running backs ever to play here at Tennessee. Played in the NFL. Dallin Hayden is a legit running back, and he proved it last year. And I know you may not want to rip his year of eligibility away, but yesterday he came in off the bench cold and had 11 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown, including a 19-yarder, average 7 yards a carry. Who knows if Travion Henderson's ever going to play again. I mean, he came out yesterday in his pads, warmed up, looked fine, and then didn't play. Mayan Williams must be hurt because they're not even talking about him playing. You've got to incorporate Dallin Hayden and use him with Chip Trainum and have a 1-2 punch if you're going to have any chance of winning these games down the stretch, in my opinion.
Not only that, I think Carnell Tate really coming on yesterday is going to help this program, especially with Ibuka being hurt. I mean, we've heard the stories going on into this year about how so many people are high on Carnell Tate. I think he is going to be one of those X factors next week, and especially going down the line to the game against the team up north.
Yeah, and three catches yesterday for Tate for 79 yards, and then our boy Brandon Ennis got in the game and had 1 catch for a touchdown of 58 yards from Devin Brown. Yeah. So Devin Brown got in the game yesterday at different times. He came in and ran a little kind of sub package where he was kind of wildcatting it, and he threw a 58-yard touchdown, and then he ran a touchdown in. So I liked the creativity out of Coach Day, and I liked him kind of mixing it up and using the tools in his bag, man. I mean, there's a lot of kids standing over there that are young that you got to throw them out there and get their feet wet, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing before we go, we got to talk about that Air Force Wyoming game, because I think that has implications on who from the group of 5 is going to go play in the BCS.
I agree. We ran out of time there before Darian jumped on, but 2 teams that were undefeated going into this game, right?
Wyoming had 1 loss to Texas.
That's right. Right. Yeah. That they were winning going into the third in that one. And then they came up against an undefeated Air Force team. Tell us what your thoughts were watching that game, and what do you think about those teams, both of them, following it?
I honestly look at these 2 teams as playing against each other again in the Mountain West Championship. Air Force really came out soft. Wyoming got 2 quick touchdowns, and really, I think the X factor was 2 players on defense. Trey Taylor. I mean, if you don't watch much Mountain West action, you've got to watch Trey Taylor. This is a guy who I believe should get drafted. He is a prime time safety out of the Mountain West. And then Zach Lariter, the quarterback for Air Force. I mean, 200-meter champion in the Mountain West. This kid's got realistic speed and really controls that offense. And honestly, when he got hurt late in the fourth quarter and they had to bring Jensen Jones in, you could definitely see the change in the philosophy, especially amongst the offensive line. They found a way to pull it out because of, even after 2 bad fumbles back to back, they found a way to pull it out. But honestly, Air Force and Wyoming are 2 really good teams. And honestly, I think you got to add Tulane to that mix too as well. One of those 3 teams is going to be in a BCS Bowl this year.
Yeah, I watched Tulane on, what was that, Friday night? Another game on Friday night that we didn't even mention, Tulane versus Memphis. And Tulane is legit. They didn't have their quarterback for their 1 loss so far this season. But they played a heck of a game on Friday night, and I was very impressed with Tulane and what they've got going on. I like their quarterback. I like their receivers.
The running game is just, granted, is it Tajay Spears? No, but no. He really runs hard. I look at Tulane and I'm like, Jesus. Even though they lost Tajay Spears, who looks like he's on the doorstep of being the running back at Tennessee whenever Derrick Henry gets hurt. I'm so impressed. And Northwestern, if you're listening, hire Willie Fritz as your next head coach. It's a good fit.
Yeah, I can see this guy getting a job right now. There's a couple places that have already opened up or will open up, and I just think the change. Me and you talked about this the other night on Friday night. The way that this program has just transformed since he got there, it's just unimaginable, almost, in my opinion.
Everywhere he has gone, he has taken over a program that was in bad shape and turned them into winners. Central Missouri, Sam Houston State, heck, Blinn College, a JUCO, Georgia Southern, as soon as they came to Division I team. Now Tulane. This guy freaking resurrects more stuff than Jesus Christ.
He's done a damn good job, and watching that offense operate. They got some good players too. Chris Brazell, the wide receiver is pretty solid. That running back Hughes, Michael Pratt, the quarterback. They all came up big in that game Friday night, and the defense stepped up when they had to in the fourth quarter and held Memphis to a goose egg. That the entire fourth quarter of play. So that was big. And Tulane's, 5-1 now, 2-0 in the conference. And, I'm not seeing anybody else on the schedule that can beat them. They play North Texas, Rice, East Carolina, Tulsa, FAU, and UTSA. I think Tulane's going to win out.
You would think UTSA at the beginning of the year would be a good game, but it's not. They're not playing nearly as well as people expected them to this year.
They're not the same team they were last year, and it's a far cry from that. So we'll see. I'm going to try and not have a heart attack as we play the Nittany Lions this weekend. I feel confident. I feel good about it. But you know me, I get nervous as shit every game. And I have to go stand in the kitchen and turn the sound off and then peer into the living room, see if it's a good play. If it's a good play, I go back in and I watch for a little bit. If there's a bad play, I go back to the kitchen. So I have got serious problems.
You got to get on anxiety meds, man. Holy crap. Man, that's just like, you just got to water off duck's back, man. I know there's,
I care way too much. But
at the same time, hey, everybody, jump on GAREON's podcast, different views. It's on the gram, it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. Find it. Great guy. He's one of those guys you want to cheer for because, he's been to the mountaintop. He's had a little setback. Let's keep him going. Let's see him back in a Viking uniform. I'm talking to you guys at Winter Park We need cornerbacks.
They do need some help. They need some help. Oh, Harrison Smith needs a little assistance back there in the secondary. So hopefully we can get G up there and see him playing again. But like I said, even if he doesn't play another down in football, that guy is going to succeed at whatever he does. And he's got his head on straight. He's a smart, intelligent guy, and seems to me like he's very driven at all he does. So I wish all the best for him. And I love hearing people's who actually know Coach Meyer talk about him instead of the talking heads who've never even met the man, who rip on him because, one of his players did something bad or one of his coaches punched his wife, a couple of years ago or something. I mean, you can't control what everybody does. You can try to, and you can set an example and try and get people to follow it. But there's no way you can control 200-300 people that you're in charge of their every move. It's just not possible.
Not only that, I mean, just him playing at Maslin and the amount of pressure there. I mean, I was sitting there looking through their coaches that have gone through there. They have high school coaches that have coached there.
Yeah.
They've had 3 that have coached in the pros. They've had 9 that have coached in college.
Yeah.
I mean, you got names like Don James, Hall of Fame coach, national championship coach, Earl Bruce, Rose Bowl winning coach, a little name named Paul Brown. You may have heard of him. He only owned a couple teams and coached a couple teams in the NFL. I mean, plus you play in the same stadium as the Hall of Fame game against your arch freaking rival. I mean, name me a time 10,000 people just came to party at something you were at. Not even get in the game, just the party at it.
It's been a while. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but it's one of the best. It's one of the best high school programs in the history of our country, and some of the guys that have come out of there, it's just a long list. Glenville has pumped guys into Ohio State, and so has Maslin. I mean, go back to Chris Spielman, one of the greatest Buckeyes of all time, and Devin and G, the 2 cousins that made it. I mean, there's been a bunch.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's go take home the ham and see the babies and all that good stuff. And we'll reconvene at a later date to finish this off and talk a little Week 8 football. As we mentioned, lots of games coming up on the slate next week. We've got the Penn State Nittany Lions coming down to the banks of the Olentangy River and playing Ohio State Buckeyes next week at noon. I'm sure game day and big noon kickoff will be there. Washington State, Oregon, Tennessee, Alabama. Some pretty solid matchups. Duke, Florida State, Utah, USC. The college football landscape continues on, James. We'll see some more good ones.
I'm going to throw a hot take out there just right now for next week.
What's that?
Tennessee's going to beat Alabama.
You think so?
I'm going to say it. After the way Alabama laid an egg yesterday against Arkansas, I'm going to say it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Hey, I would not be surprised. If they can get some semblance of a passing game going, I think they can win that game. But they got to have these guys step up. You have to help Joe out. You can't just have balls bounce off your chest, hit you in the hands. Even if it's not the most beautiful throw ever, if it hits you in the hands, you're supposed to catch it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the whole point of a receiver, right? I mean, unless you're Troy Williamson, who's just really good at the presidential physical fitness test,
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what you get your school paid for, is to catch the ball. So I'm hoping that somebody can help him out, and that the calls for firing Coach Heupel and putting in Nico, I hope that those fans hit the portal. And,
that's what we should have, a fan portal. That would be the greatest thing in the world. Otherwise, my theory. It's time that fans have to actually pitch in for the buyout.
Yep.
Trust me.
With that too.
You would have more people shut the hell up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I include press on that too as well. If you're going to call for someone to get fired, your money's in the table too as well.
Yeah, no, we were talking about the other day, some of us Buckeye fans, and we were watching it was the it was because we were playing Purdue this week. We were watching the miracle, 4th down miracle where Craig Krenzel hit Michael Jenkins in the end zone on 4th and 13 to win the game and keep the 2002 championship season alive. There would have been calls for firing Jim Tressel that year. They would have been calling to bench Craig Krenzel because it wasn't always pretty on offense, but they won the games. That's what matters, folks. Winning the game. Oh, God.
Did you happen to look at Maurice Claret's Instagram page yesterday? Because that's literally exactly what he just said.
Did he? No, I did not.
It was hilarious. He was like calling people out left and right. And I'm like,
well, when we were thinking back at that time in 2002, there wasn't all these idiots on the internet, that was the key. Their Facebook wasn't really rolling at that time, and there wasn't, the Twitter universe and
come on, X.
Oh, God. Okay, whatever it's called. I don't even care. But I think our world may have been a little better without all that crap, but whatever. Got to live in the now, right?
Absolutely.
All right, bud, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and another great week of college football. And thank you to our guest, former all Big Ten national championship winning corner for Ohio State, Oakland Raiders, and the Houston Texans, GAREON Conley, former Massillon boy from Ohio. Wish him all the best moving forward, and definitely check out his podcast, Different Views, with his cousin, Devin Smith. All right, guys, take it easy. And we'll talk again real soon.